Sorry about that, guys. I'm on. Don't worry. All right. Wanted to show you guys this camera here out of Winter Garden because of the storm that is moving into the western sides of Orange County. It's about ready to hit this camera. 50-mile-an-hour winds. You can see that blinding rain is really beginning to get over to that camera as we speak. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see, again, that wind pick up. And there's just a lot of turbulence in the atmosphere with this. So again, we do have a special weather statement right now. This is a line of really nasty storms that'll be moving into the Metro Orlando area through the 7 o'clock hour. Special weather statement right now for Lake County. And again, just wanted to show you guys this live shot before we get into anything else, because this is our far west camera. And is going to really tell the story for what's going to be moving into Metro Orlando for the remainder of the 7 o'clock hour. So again, this is live, and you can see the striations and the clouds and kind of everything billowing up. There's a lot of juice, and there's a heck of a lot of lightning with this. It's been a rowdy storm through Lake County. It'll be moving in through Orange County as well. Again, gusty winds, heavy downpours, and this is all just moving in at the hour. So that's what it looks like in Winter Garden. And again, really ominous low clouds associated with this as well. Here's what it looks like in the Lake Buena Vista area. So we're a little bit farther west and south from the Winter Garden camera, and the shelf cloud beginning to move in right now, just all going to be hitting basically the entire Metro Orlando area through the 7 o'clock hour. Winter Garden again, the winds pick up. The hefty rain, a fair amount of lightning associated with this. There's a special weather statement with this storm that goes until 5 o'clock. So I haven't heard anyone else say no sound, so hopefully they have. Sorry about that. All right, so that's what's going on right now. A couple of other cameras to show you real quick. Winter Park is okay so far, a little bit down the road, but that storm will have some, that camera will have some good activity here. In our Conway camera as well, again, looking off towards the east, but we'll start to see this storm move into the downtown Orlando area as well. Let me just take myself off camera again. You can clearly see what the wind is doing as this storm arrives. Solid 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. If you see a little bit of a flash there on your screen, that is going to be the lightning that's coming through. So, this is a storm that you want to be indoors for. This storm is big enough that it's going to be going through all of Metro Orlando, and heavy rain. A lot of lightning is a threat. So I just want everyone to take this one seriously to make sure you get indoors, and winds of up to 50 miles an hour. Now, this all looks to be straight line winds at this point in time. So, not too concerned about any spin with this, but it's something that I'll be closely monitoring for you. How you guys doing? I hope you're doing well this late Thursday. So let's get into the radar. As I do, please remember, because I said this once, but you guys didn't hear me. CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. You see their logo at the bottom of your screen. Storm moves into your area, you get damage of any kind. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews, so you have nothing to lose. It's leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. All right, so that was our live camera network to show you guys this storm right now. And it's coming down in sheets, man, where it is going. So it just really developed through the eastern side of Lake County and is now moving into the far western sides of Orange County, from Apopka to Ocoee, back to Winter Garden. Prolific rainfall will be associated with this and some gusty winds. So we do have a special weather statement now for the next basically half hour for us here. So it's going to take us to the 7:30 time frame. Let me give you the details on this particular special weather statement. Thunderstorm near Astatula and Claremont, moving southeast at 15. Winds of up to 50. Apopka, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Windermere, Howey, and the Hills will be all included in that. Now, again, before we go too far with the radar, I just want to keep an eye on this camera here in Winter Garden, and that's the gray sky. If you live anywhere in the Metro Orlando area and you haven't been run over by this storm yet, this is what's going to be moving into your area. So just keep an eye out for that. And again, the winds will be freshening up as it does so, and then the lightning will be picking up along with it as well. These are really low hanging, dark clouds. It's not too hard to see here, with this storm coming through. Now, additional activity, boy, oh boy, I did it to myself here behind the scenes. Hang on one second. Excuse me. Additional activity is likely to develop ahead of this, and we're seeing some of that back down towards the Meadowwoods area, MCO. So this is another cluster of some potentially stronger thunderstorms, and everything is working its way off towards the east. So there'll be a little bit maybe of a south movement from time to time, but it's a general easterly trend for us here. So not long down the road, we are going to be seeing this getting into the downtown Orlando area. It's going to do a couple of other things here real quick. That's the wrong button. All right, let's track this out a little bit too. It's a huge line. It's moving at 15 miles an hour, I believe. Let's get a double check on that. Yeah, 15. And by the way, guys, let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know what's going on in the comments. I appreciate all of those who take a quick second and check in. Haven't had a chance to jump over to the chat yet. I want to make sure that we're completely aware of what's going on, but I do appreciate you guys very much. So we'll draw this down here. Oh, it did it again to me. I can't get too fancy with this. It likes more of a straight line. I'm learning that as we go. It likes me to do just basically that. We'll go east at 15. And so these are some of the areas that are expected to be impacted here, and I'll just move that up and get out of the special weather statement. So you're looking at Pine Hills, 722, Metro West even before that, 718, Millennia, 727, Oak Ridge, 730, Downtown, 739, Delaney Park, 742, Meadowwood, 747, Baldwin Park, 751, Conway 752, and MCON at 759. Again, that's an east movement at around 15 miles an hour. Now, again, this is a little bit farther north, but that's where we have the most predominant worst part of this storm right now, Ocoee southward. Look, this is bad news for anyone driving. This is blinding rain. So the Turnpike and 429 and Colonial, a fair amount of lightning here. The lightning count has come down just a little bit, but you know, couldn't even rule out a little bit of smaller hail to go along with this. So we have to watch out for this storm right now near the Winter Garden, Oakland areas, and then eventually towards Windermere and Ocoee. Again, not a severe thunderstorm warning, but a special weather statement. But this line is going to drive right over Metro Orlando. So if you live in Metro Orlando, this is going to be an impactful storm. It's not the only game in town. We've had other clusters of storms across portions of Volusia County, Edgewater, Oak Hill, northern Brevard County, towards Titusville. A couple of thunderstorms redeveloping in the northern sides of Marion County, towards Reddick as well. But again, the most persistent, predominant, strongest storm is going to be here in western Orange County, all moving off towards the east. I'll put this in motion so you guys. All right, now I can get to the chat. How's everyone doing this evening? Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for hitting that like button. Sorry about the apologies for the brief no mic thing. Hi, Amy. How you doing? Hi, Diane. Hope you're doing well. Diane says Intersection City dark, cloudy, but no rain yet. Yes, I have unmuted myself. Hey, Bobby. How you doing, pal? Hey, Neek. Yeah, great view indeed. Hey, Gaming with Jamie, thank you so much for the $5 super stickers. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Jamie, Gaming with Jamie, for the $5 super stickers. Appreciate you supporting the channel, Jamie, and all those who have done that as well. Hey, Kyle, how you doing? Good to see you this evening. Arcadia in the house. Appreciate you tuning in there, Jamie. Thank you so much. All right, friends. So, again, special weather statement. Strong storm moving into Metro Orlando through this 7 o'clock hour. Additional showers could develop and become on the stronger side, but this one was just so prominent. I wanted to jump on real quick and cover it for you guys live here. Going to also throw on the wind gusts when I reset this, so you guys will see your live wind gusts as well. And even outside of these storms, we're getting some 25+ mile-an-hour winds from time to time as well. Let's go back out to our cameras. Because we have that, I don't want to ever go too far here. Oh, I really did it to myself. There we go. All right. I could explain to you behind the scenes, but no big deal. I hit a couple of wrong buttons. All right, so live look to Winter Garden. So it's interesting because if you look at the palm tree, now it's basically still, because now this camera is basically in the middle of that cluster of thunderstorms. You're gonna get your strongest winds on that leading gust front, right? Those are your 40 to 50 mile-an-hour winds, some very intense rainfall. Then it'll become more moderate in nature, but kind of embedded within this, I do expect there to be a fair amount of lightning strikes as well. And you can, again, kind of see a flash from time to time, but we're right in the high precipitation part of this thunderstorm over this Winter Garden camera, so we don't have the visibility that we normally do. Now we'll go down to the attractions area. Friends, look how, oh, get those kids, get inside. You never like to see that, right? You never like to see anyone out when it's storming. And that's exactly what you just saw. But you saw how quickly this camera went from just seeing the leading shelf cloud to now being in it. So unfortunately, the Lake Buena Vista area, attractions, again, the Magic Kingdom is just a mile from this view. Now in the thick of it, heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning. So not great to be outdoors. Obviously, hope everyone is taking cover as they should, but we know the attractions area is always a busy outdoor area here in Central Florida, so we'll be monitoring that. But they're getting into it. And again, we're going to see all 4 cameras get run under by this storm. That's how widespread it's going to be. The Winter Park camera, this is looking east, southeast, so it's not looking towards the storms, it's looking away, but we're going to see that camera get overrun here in about 15 to 20 minutes. And same thing with Conway. It's looking off towards the east, so it's a beautiful early evening shot as we look towards the East Coast. But, this camera, again, will see these storms working its way through. This is what pretty much everyone is going to end up getting as we go through the 7 o'clock hour in the Metro Orlando area. Hey, Blue Goose, how you guys doing? Blue Goose up in St. Augustine, still doing pretty well there. Again, it's not the most widespread of storms at this point in time, but this one cropped up. And I was a little concerned that on its trajectory, they might even issue a severe thunderstorm warning. But at this point in time, it's a special weather statement. The threats are going to be winds of 50 miles an hour as far as a special weather statement being issued. That being said, you've also got the opportunity for locally heavy downpours enough. We can't even rule out some isolated flooding. We've had some flood advisories from time to time with some of the storms that have developed in the last couple of days, but really gusty winds to go along with things here. It could knock down, a couple of tree limbs and power outages. It could throw around some lightweight unsecured objects in the yard. The other thing too is, again, if you just look how widespread this is from Wekiva Springs, Winter Springs, Altamont Springs, all the way back down to Celebration, MCO, Lake Nona, we're all going to get hit if you live in those areas. And again, down here, right to the attractions, that's the leading edge of it coming through. Now, I do have the lightning data filtered again, as I typically do. So it's not giving you the true number of lightning strikes, but I'll change that so you guys get an idea. And again, thanks for giving the love to Gaming with Jamie. And Jamie, I do appreciate you taking an opportunity to help support the channel. Thank you very much, my friend. You got it, Neek. Small hail is not out of the question. Little pea-sized hail, can't rule it out. As a matter of fact, my weather computer here near Lake Butler has a 10% chance for some small hail. So we're not in an environment where I'm expecting there to be a lot of hail, but it's an opportunity. Now, here's the interesting thing. When I take off the filter and we have all the lightning strikes, meaning that it doesn't matter what energy they're producing, we're getting 400 plus lightning strikes in this storm in just the last 15 minutes. It's a noisy storm, right? There's a lot of lightning. So you get your strongest winds here, leading edge, very heavy rainfall, and then right behind that, you get a lot of that lightning. That's going to be situated just behind that core, but moving along with the storm as well. This does extend as far north as Mount Dora and Mount Plymouth, but it's not generally that strong there. It's basically the central and the southern side of this cluster that is absolutely most intense. Now, what's interesting is you've had out ahead of this some non-severe storms develop towards MCO and Meadow Woods. We'll see what happens as this kind of merges into things. Sometimes that can either cut it off, or sometimes that can actually pick up more activity. And would expect there to be a little bit feeding into the southern side of this. So, down into a little bit deeper into Osceola County through the 7 o'clock hour, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Campbell areas. Those are areas that could also start to pick up a little bit more intensity. And we'll get a couple of rogue storms ahead of this as well. So into Brevard County. Again, everything moving off towards the east. So if you live in our western zones, not expecting a lot of development in the short term in your area. More than likely will be dry here as we head towards sunset. So again, if you guys are just tuning in, appreciate you doing so. We have a special weather statement with a very strong storm right now moving into the western sides of Orange County. Main threat's going to be winds of 50 miles an hour from Apopka south to Ocoee, Winter Garden, Windermere, and even back towards Howey and the Hills, all included within this. Again, a lot of lightning, over 400 lightning strikes very heavy rainfall. The executive airport will get run under, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what kind of a wind that they get out of that storm. But it's a nasty one, no doubt about it. Let's go back to our cameras. This will be a shot that we'll see. Hey, Garrett, how you doing, by the way? Hope everyone's doing well. I got my diet green tea. I'm ready to go. I was like, boy, if I'm going to be on for any length of time here, I'm going to have to make sure I stay hydrated. But you can clearly see there's still some embedded lightning, even from this Winter Garden camera. Winter Park, still okay so far, but it's thickening up. Again, a lot of instability in the atmosphere, a lot of low-hanging clouds, even a little bit of some broad spin too. Conway still looks okay at the hour. And then here it's coming down in Lake Buena Vista. So, you know, again, a little bit of street flooding, a little bit of ponding on roadways with this kind of heavier rainfall. Absolutely possible. No doubt about it. Hey, Kyle, appreciate you saying that. Appreciate you guys taking a quick second and doing so as well. That means a lot. Hitting that like button, subscribing, all of that is absolutely appreciated. No doubt about it. So you can see it coming down there. Again, I think this is a very common sight in the central and the southern sides of Orange County, and we'll just have to see how deep it goes to the east of us here. But just one of those storms where, you know, got to jump on and cover this for you guys. Again, just blinding rain right now. It's not a great travel time. It's past, you know, the commute home time, so that's good news, right? At least we don't have to worry about that as much. But anyone out in the roadways right now, very low visibility. You know, the turnpike is still busy this time. It feels like the turnpike's busy, whatever. And you guys know if you ventured out in the turnpike in Lake County, it is still under construction in a big way. So that's never fun to have to deal with this kind of a storm when you're dealing with a construction zone as well. So hopefully everyone's in their safe spot and is just fine. But if you live east of this, you've got yourselves a nice noisy storm that'll be moving into your area. Let me get broad out real quick. I always like to keep an eye on the broad perspective, make sure that I'm not so focused, I'm not missing out on something. Again, shower developing portions of Marion County. We've got a couple of coastal storms in Volusia County, riding into the far northern sides of Brevard. A little bit of shower activity in Osceola County. This storm here, there's a little bit of lightning associated with this one. Not a lot, but a little bit here. That is going to try and make a run towards Port St. John, Sharps and Cocoa, Merritt Island eventually as well. This activity probably won't get too strong. I really do believe it's this cluster. And again, on this leading edge, that is a sharp line. That's going to be some good gusty winds over Windermere and Lake Butler, Dr. Phillips, Lake Buena Vista, Millennia, Oak Ridge areas. You know, even in that reflectivity, it's picked up a bit as well. Don't really see any hail signatures, which is great news. Again, these polygons will tell you the general direction of these cells. Let's check the latest movement. 20. Right? Forward speed, if this could pick up a little bit in forward speed, it'd be in and out a little bit faster. That wouldn't be bad news. Let's go back over. I'm going to draw another track here. I'm going to focus in a little bit more. I'm going to go from here. And down to about here. I'm still only going to go 15 because that's what the Weather Service is saying, and we'll just have to see. So again, in these areas, right, 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, a ton of lightning, locally heavy rainfall, all coming here during the rest of the 7 o'clock hour. So Metro West, it's on top of you now. Millennia in about 10 minutes. Oak Ridge 728. Hunters Creek 734, downtown 737, Delaney Park 739, Meadowwood 749, Conway 749. We've got MCO just before the top of the hour and Medical City about 8:09 p.m. So again, you know, if we need to, we can always go street level here. The bottom line is the I-4 corridor near Mall Millennia. Looks like we've got about 9 minutes before the leading edge of that arrives. Now, you're going to see that shelf cloud rollover area sooner than that. You're going to see the winds freshen up before or so, but when it really hits the fan is going to be at about 6, 7, 8 minutes in that area. Again, right over Metro West right now. Conway at about 30. It all just depending. Belle Isle 27. Lake Buena Vista over it right now. Our friends in Hunters Creek at about 15 minutes. Even down towards Buenaventura Lakes. So again, special weather statement with this storm. Haven't seen any updates from the National Weather Service on this. Just a ton of lightning associated with it too. Let me jump back over to the chat. Hey, little Teeters, live in Rockledge? Possibly. We'll have to see if this can hold together. Will this please clear? Thank you. We'll have to see if it can hold together. Now, there could be additional storms developing that will work their way in a more scattered variety in Brevard County. So when we're talking about Brevard County in general, I don't want to say that it's a slam dunk. You're definitely going to get something like we are in the Orange County area because it's such a stout line that's holding together where it's a little bit more scattered right now. And as we hit 8 o'clock, you have to just wait and see if this begins to kind of wind down a bit once we lose the heat of the day. So the opportunity is absolutely there. Now, if you live north and west of us, again, we've had a little shower up in Marion County, but there hasn't been a lot more redevelopment, back into Sumter, Citrus, Pasco, Hernando County. So, generally speaking, it's this cluster that I'm most concerned about right now. And even if you live in southern coastal Brevard County, Volusia County, south of New Smyrna Beach, and into northern Brevard County, from south of Edgewater, Oak Hill, Indian River City, and Titusville, again, you have this kind of isolated activity developing, but still some core lightning that you're not going to be outside for. But when you compare that to this, where the lightning count here in the last 15 minutes is still almost 400 lightning strikes, you get the idea. And I mean, it's coming down right now in portions of far west Orange County, Winter Garden, Ocoee, Gotha, Windermere, back towards the Hamlin area there along the 429. Then east towards Lake Butler, Lake Buena Vista. That's a nice, healthy cell there. Let's go back to our camera. And again, it's just coming down. That camera shot hasn't changed in about the last 10 minutes. Hey, Kish, how you doing? Good to see you out of Pasco County. Hi, Bruce. Hernando's in the house. Appreciate you, Bruce. As a Citrus County native, I appreciate you tuning in. And again, I appreciate all you guys jumping in. Let me know in the chat where you're viewing from. You have a specific question, just like so many have already had, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer that. Again, watching this stronger storm moving through Metro Orlando as we speak. A lot of this is on the board here, so hopefully you guys are inside. If you know anyone who might be outside, give them a heads up here. Continuing to just monitor it. And again, look how gray the sky still is in Winter Garden. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you can almost see a little bit in the way of how low the deck of clouds are. They're just skirting. They're skirting, the surface at this point in time. Very low deck. Ominous, still a lot of lightning. This camera is going to be picking up a lot of lightning strikes, even well behind the heaviest rain. But it's just still very blinding outside. Now, down the road, here's your Winter Park camera. We're probably about 10 to 15 minutes away from this camera getting run over. It's going to be on the far northern edge of where I expect the worst of the weather to be through Orange County, but we'll be monitoring that one for you as well. And then our Conway cam, and again, we're just starting to see the shelf cloud of that storm beginning to roll over Conway. So it's a pristine shot looking off towards the east, but not long from now, just like we saw with the Lake Buena Vista camera, we're going to see this get pretty dark in a hurry out there, no doubt about it. So it's going to turn into this in a relatively short amount of time. All right, back over to the weather computer. Let's do a couple of things here. We'll go out to our big view one more time. Now again, this special weather statement is going to go for the next 10 minutes. A reminder, lightning has nothing to do with special weather statements being issued, with severe thunderstorm warnings being issued. There's only two criteria, winds and hail, right? So you get to 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-sized hail, they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning. Anything less than that, they could issue a special weather statement, which is just basically one rung lower. That being said, the amount of rain that it's producing and the amount of lightning it's producing has nothing to do with a special weather statement or a severe thunderstorm warning. You can get a storm that may not be producing a lot of wind, but have a heck of a lot of lightning, and you won't even have a special weather statement. Now, obviously, they generally go hand in hand. You're not going to typically have a storm producing 20-mile-an-hour winds and, several hundred lightning strikes in a 15-minute time frame, but you don't necessarily have to have a severe thunderstorm warning to have a really intense storm in your area. Check out our velocity here. I haven't done that yet. So we had a little bit squirrelier storms up to our north earlier in the day where there was some rotation. When I'm looking at this and I see the brighter greens, those are going to be stronger winds. Now, along this line, you're going to have a little bit of broader spin on the leading edge. Nothing that I'm seeing right now in a cursory view I'm concerned about, but it is an indication that there are some good winds, and some of that is bowing out. If you notice that the winds here in the red are holding back west a little bit more than the winds here, it's because we're getting a little bit of a push of the straight line winds, and it's not necessarily a bow echo effect where you actually have a bowing of the storms, but these storms are moving a little bit quicker right now because the wind over Windermere and Lake Butler is much stronger as it comes down to the surface and is pushing that storm out a little bit quicker than it is up to the north. So when I show you guys the reflectivity, you'll see that, this is where the core is here, but it's bowed out a little bit more down here in nature. And again, nasty over I-4, Lake Buena Vista area, 10% chance of hail. So it's good that we haven't seen that go up a bit. I wouldn't expect there in this environment to be a large hail threat, but it's always something to monitor. And again, you're going to get these two areas kind of conglomerating together, but certainly the lightning is picked up even over MCO, Lake Nona, and Meadow Woods. Conway kind of quiet at this moment. It's absolutely headed your way, Ashrew, no doubt about it, right? And it's building a little bit south of anything. So we're seeing it nudge, some of the strongest activity nudge just south of the polygon here. So even down towards Celebration, 192. I'm not going to rule out a good storm rolling right over Kissimmee as well. Buenaventura Lakes, again, you're outside of the polygon. Now we'll see what the Weather Service wants to do, right? This storm is beginning to move outside of this polygon. Do they, feel like it's still going to produce some winds of at least 40 miles an hour to continue the special weather statement? And if they are going to do so, they're going to probably issue it soon because the leading edge of this is getting outside of that polygon. But if they don't think that it's going to produce the winds of 40 miles an hour and just going to be a really strong storm, but not special weather statement criteria worthy, then they won't. Now, we've seen it already plenty of times here live on the channel. You've got a METAR site here in the executive airport. You've got one at MCO. The next thing you know, they throw up a severe thunderstorm warning. It's because one of these sites have produced a gust above 60 miles an hour, or maybe we get a gust above 40 and they say, okay, that's enough to warrant another special weather statement for the downtown Orlando metro area. But at this point in time, we just have the one that goes until 7:30. But all of the worst weather is now on the far edge, eastern edge of the polygon, and then moving off towards the east. I'll put this into motion for you guys if you're just tuning in. There is some solid forward speed with this, so it's moving 15 to 20 miles an hour. Thankfully, this means it's not going to sit over one area for too long, but prolific lightning and some really gusty winds will be coming along for the ride as well. Yeah, there was some rotation with some of the storms earlier in the day. And again, you can clearly see some of the storms in coastal Volusia and back into Brevard. They're clustering up a bit, the far southeast sides of Orange County, south of the beach line, but they're also building north. So they're trying to get a little bit closer to Wedgefield as well. And, I had a friend ask about Rockledge. You can see that there's some scattered activity. It's not as, put together here in Brevard County. It's more scattered in nature, but you could still get overrun by a pretty healthy storm in parts of Brevard County, whereas central and southern sides of Orange County are getting rocked right now with this storm. Back to the Winter Garden camera. Again, the back edge of that storm is clearly visible on the left-hand side of your screen, but there's still a lot of low flanking clouds coming along with it as well. The winds have quieted down a bit here, and you would expect that on the back edge of this. Hey, Kyle. Appreciate you tuning in. Are you the second largest county, question mark? Probably, right? What is Dade the biggest, and then Marion? I mean, there's Google, so you can easily look it up these days. But you could convince me that Marion's the second biggest county. All right, so things have quieted down. It shows you that there is some forward speed with these storms, right? So we've quieted down a bit at the attractions with the heaviest rain. Now the problem is that some of the lightning is going to be lingering for a while, right? So even though the rain has abated a bit near the Magic Kingdom and Disney Springs and Epcot and even the Universal properties, there's still a lightning threat here for at least the next half hour. There's going to be some back-end lightning to come along with some of these storms. So even though the brunt of the heaviest rain has moved away, you guys know how it is. Even the lightning is going to be an issue. Conway, here's what we're talking about, guys. You can see the darker leading edge of that storm beginning to move over the Conway area. So, we're looking east away from it, but we're just going to see that sky fill in fairly quickly here. And then that storm will be moving over Conway in the next, probably 15 minutes. And again, Winter Park is kind of on the north edge. Winter Park will not get hit as hard as other areas south in Metro Orlando, but we'll still have some heavy rain and some intense lightning. So we'll be watching that camera for you guys too. But again, that's going to be a neat shot there from Conway to see the storm move over the Metro Orlando area. Again, Conway just southeast of downtown. All right. Everyone having a good Thursday? Doing well? Labor Day weekend? Plans? Not a fan of the weather. I'm not a fan of what I'm seeing, I can tell you that much. Wet and stormy. Potentially not like, stormy where it's going to be like, really, really nasty storms every day, but high chance for storms, widespread storms, absolutely, no doubt about it. Let's go back to our cameras. I have to reset something here real quick. So that's Winter Garden. And again, could these storms put down 2-3 inches of rain in a hurry? Absolutely. And then here's Conway. This is going to be such a neat shot. It's like someone's painting a picture out there, right? Hey Rob, how you doing? Appreciate you. Ohio is in the house. Well, happy birthday to your dad, Asheru. I hope he's doing well. Yeah, Tornado Central, you can send it to cflwlive@gmail.com. cflwlive@gmail.com. I believe it is somewhere on the page, maybe on the home page of the channel, but it should be there. Okay. I want to jump back over here. No. So we're at a couple things behind the scenes here, guys. So we hit the 7:30 time frame right now. And you notice that there is no more special weather statement. That's good. We want to see that, right? We want to see that this storm is trying to break apart a little bit. Now, there are still areas that I have some concerns, and it wouldn't shock me if we get a wind gust at the executive airport or at MCO, which goes over 40, and they reissue the special weather statement. It's probably about 50-50, but the southern flank of this is still very prominent. So Lake Buena Vista, Celebration, Hunters Creek, Kissimmee, Campbell, Buenaventura Lakes, Meadowwoods, Lake Nona, MCO, Medical City, Narcoossee, Lee Vista Boulevard, places like that, all are going to get hit pretty good with this storm. Maybe we're talking about more 35-mile-an-hour winds. It's not much less than that, though. It's really not. These are still some pretty healthy storms, and it's a nice cluster, which is why it's really holding together pretty well too, right? And the lightning count is still good. and high, even as far north above Colonial. So Winter Garden and Ocoee towards Pine Hills. And again, this will drift as far north as like Fairview Shores and Lee Road towards Winter Park. But south of the 408 is where we're going to have the most potent activity here. And it's all kind of is filling in a bit. So Conway and Lake Nona towards Medical City. And again, you get the scattered variety stuff out in the southeast side and then portions of Brevard County as well. Thanks, Farah. Yeah, that's what I thought, Kyle. Dade would be the biggest county, and then Marion. I mean, we do not have very big counties here in Florida relative to some other states in the Union. All right, back over to velocity. So here's an interesting thing. You can clearly see this push of wind right here. Let's query these numbers. You know, a little bit 30 plus in a couple of spots. Anyways, but this is where we have the strongest winds right now. Right over Dr. Phillips and Tangelo Park. You know, I think we're going to have some 30 plus mile an hour winds with some higher gusts. And that's just going to kind of continue here towards the beach line and maybe towards MCO. So that's where we have the strongest winds. Just making sure that there's nothing too squirrely here rotation-wise, or that any of this stuff that's feeding into it from the south is rotating, because sometimes that happens. You can also take a look real quick at the hail. So, you know, my computer says, look, if we were going to see a little bit of hail, tiny hail, it would have been kind of, you know, south and west of both Bay Hill and Dr. Phillips. That is the 535, if I'm not mistaken. It takes you down World Drive to Lake Buena Vista. So I have spatial tools here. So yeah, 535. So again, in like a tornado event here, if I need to pull up roads, I can. And then literally right over the attractions, right? Buena Vista Way, there you go. So it could have been a little bit of hail there and potentially back down here as well towards Walt Disney World Road. I feel like we could go through this entire area and you get something to do with the Magic Kingdom, right? Thanks, Tornado Center. I appreciate that. All right, so solid rain there. Get off of that. I'll be interested to see what the downtown airport picks up. I don't want to go too long without looking at our live cameras. So swing back over to Conway. And there you go. It's getting wet in Conway as we speak. You can clearly see the leading edge of that shelf cloud now encompassing most of the southern side of downtown Orlando, like a spaceship coming in and working its way off towards the east. Not a ton of wind there. And, you know, Conway is a little bit south of the executive airport. So if we're not seeing a lot of wind here, there's probably a pretty good chance we're not going to see a ton at the executive airport. This could be a little bit of a sheltered shot. If you look at the breeze at the on the actual water, it is a little bit more fresh. But is it 40 miles an hour? No. Agreed, Kish, and you know, we invest in the technology here on the channel as well. And so I appreciate all those who have found ways to support the channel. Again, we're taking that and reinvesting by adding the Winter Park camera and with thoughts to continue to add to our camera network. So do appreciate you guys who have found ways to support it. Again, the super thanks are open. Other ways in the description below. Liking and subscribing is a great thing as well. And I appreciate all of my friends who have done that and had that opportunity. All right. So I'm going to get back out here. Again, at this point in time, we'll go broad view. There are no special weather statements in the area right now. But again, this is a nasty storm, right? The lightning count has come down. It's good news, right? It's an indication that the storm might be losing a little bit of steam. Okay. Also, we're heading towards the 8 o'clock hour, where more than likely it's going to start to lose even a little bit more steam. This is not an environment tonight where I expect these storms to just continue to elevate themselves even past the sunset hour. Now, could there still be some rowdier activity? You know, a little bit below special weather statement criteria, yes. You know, but with this special weather statement that was issued for Lake County and the storm pulsing up in intensity, you know, I wanted to jump on and cover this because I knew that through the 7 o'clock hour, this was going to move right over Orlando. You know, big, you know, viewing area here of CFLW. Wanted to cover for you, obviously one of the big population centers, but just, you know, I had that inkling that, look, if this continues on that trajectory, they might even issue a severe thunderstorm warning. Wanted to make sure I had you guys covered. So, you know, that's why we're on right now live. The lightning count is going to be really, really high, very heavy rain. I'm glad that I don't see any rotation out of that because there were some storms that were out by themselves. Now, in this cluster, you're not going to probably get a lot of stronger rotation along that leading edge, but as these little areas begin to feed into the southern side of the storm, sometimes those can get a little bit squirrely and want to rotate as well. But I don't see any of that happening so far, which is good news. You know, and again, you know, I wish I could tell you that, hey, after this, we're looking pretty good for the holiday weekend coming up, but this is probably just a preview of what is to come. Now, we may not get stronger storms every day, but widespread coverage of storms, absolutely. And I'll have more on that on the CFLW, the show, coming up tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. So make sure you guys set your notifications and tune in. Remember, friends, this is a live-only channel, so I'm only on where there's impactful weather to talk about, or I do my 2 live shows a week. Generally, they're Monday and Fridays at 1 o'clock. So not going to inundate you guys with notifications of all these video updates because I don't do that. So this is a channel I do suggest that if you have the notifications on, which is the bell icon, you click on that, you get a couple of different options. Make sure you click all, and then that way you'll see a notification pop up whenever I'm live so you guys can tune in and see what's happening in your area, or you want to join me for the Monday and Friday show. I appreciate all those who do as well. Hey, Kristen, heavy rain, lightning in Hunter's Creek. It's one of those areas, southern side of Metro Orlando, that could clearly, get that. And there it is right there. Again, that storm coming out of Lake Buena Vista, right across the 417 towards Hunter's Creek. This is the area where they're going to see the most intense activity. And you notice it's even trying to build a little bit farther south to sneak into the northern side of Osceola County as well. So, you know, follow that icon. That's going to be your strongest part of this entire line right now. But there is some good solid movement at this point in time. We're going about 20 miles an hour off towards the east. But Kristen, I appreciate you letting me know. Thanks for that. Yeah, I-4 is getting hit, no doubt about it. Oh, you saw a little bit of debris? Okay. Where were you, if you don't mind me asking? So Tornado Center, I don't have an opportunity to look at it right now. I'll have to do that later and email you back. I don't want to stop what I'm doing right now and look that up because I have to switch over to a different computer, but I will take a look and let you know. Mims. Hey, Candace, Mims. Yeah, Mims is in the scattered stuff, right? You know, a little bit off toward your south right now. You could get run under by some of this, but my hope is as we get to the 8 o'clock hour, and this is trying to push off to the east, it loses some of its intensity. That doesn't mean you couldn't get a rowdy storm, you know, noisy storm, right? Heavy rain and lightning, but it's going to be breaking apart, I believe, as it gets into Brevard County, whereas right now in central and southern sides of Orange County, it's just all over the place right now. Everyone's getting hit. Again, not a special weather statement, so we're not seeing sustained 40-mile-an-hour winds, but there'll probably be some gusts above that as well. Yes, Leilani, the storms are all heading east right now, generally into potentially southern Volusia and Brevard counties. We're a little bit drier to the north. Now, look, you know, you got a little rogue storm way up here in Putnam County. You know, it's trying to, you know, screw around and, you know, by itself, trying to make a run back into Flagler County. But it's going to be really isolated. And my hope is that some of this activity, even north, begins to fade a bit after sunset tonight, which is not that far away. Sunset now is before 8 o'clock. Yeah, absolutely could see rotation. Look, you know, I saw a little bit of rotation with some of the activity in Lake County as well before I came on. Obviously, it's a big difference between just some broad rotation or, you know, even a little bit of a tighter couplet and then actually having, you know, a tornado. But a lot of these storms, as they were kind of developing in Lake County, were trying to spin a touch too. All right, so back over to the attractions area. Again, now we're behind the leading edge. So we're now more in just some steady rain, but I want to look at this shot because I want to see if we catch any lightning out of this in just the next 30 seconds or so. Give us a good idea if there's still some hot, you know, hot parts of these storms behind it. Obviously at the attractions, we just got to pay attention. So many folks trying to get back outside. Don't want to get out too early. You really want this storm to pass east of you and to get a bit of a buffer because, you know, I'm still picking up some lightning towards US 27. So we've got to monitor that. Don't want to get too anxious. Conway, again, you know, good solid rain. What's interesting is that the wind is just not that far north. So, you know, we look like we're going to do okay in downtown Orlando. I think we're going to get some heavy rain, some gusts, and a little bit of lightning, but nothing sustained. I mean, the trees are telling the story, guys. It's as simple as that. Winter Park, again, is on the fringe, right on the northern edge of this moving through. Now, Winter Park will get some rain and probably hear some claps of thunder as well, but it's the farther south areas that are going to get it worse. And isn't this beautiful, right? So I came on, what, about 50 minutes ago, and we were seeing this storm just absolutely obliterate Winter Garden. But behind it, we're already getting some of the hues of sunset coming back behind, a little bit of a break in the deck of clouds already. So it's not going to last all rest of the evening. Nice forward speed, 20 to 25 miles an hour potentially, which means that there will be some clearing coming your way fairly quickly if you live, especially in the western sides of Orange County. But kind of a dark, murky sky at a couple of spots as well. Really interesting sky in a lot of locations. But that's a beautiful shot there. Notice there's even a little bit of a breeze still in Winter Garden. You look at the bottom of your screen, you know, 15, 20 mile an hour winds from time to time to go along with it. All right, back out here. So let's focus in on where we really have the worst stuff. Now, MCO is up to 25 mile an hour winds. That's fine. We would expect to see that. We'll see if it picks up any more than that. I wouldn't be surprised if they get an over 30 mile an hour wind gust. But I want to do another storm track. Let me do this. Bring up these cells and see what we're looking at here forward speed wise. Yeah, 21, 14, 5. That one's just developing. That's why though. I think 20 is a really solid number. I think we've got 20 mile an hour forward speed here. So let me drop that off. Kind of want to get in a little bit tighter here. All right, so let's do this. It's going to be a little bit tighter area here. All right, so at 15 miles an hour, right, you know, you're looking at, I went 15, you can go 20, but you're looking at Kissimmee 750, you know, the heart of this storm hitting MCO at 752, Buenaventura Lake 756, Lake Nona 805, Medical City 808, St. Cloud in at 823, again, as it kind of builds a little bit off to the south and to the east. So, you know, we've got through the rest of this 7 o'clock hour and then maybe just past the 8 o'clock hour to watch right on towards the 417 beachline areas, places like Cimarron, JYP, OBT as you go north to south, and then I-4 and the 528 as well. Hey, Therese, how you doing? Yeah, Therese, you're going to get hit. It's coming your way. It's built up far enough south now, even back down towards Champions Gate, where you are going to get, and that is some of the strongest activity right now. Now, it's great to see that the lightning count has gone from 400 plus down to 200. It is indicative that, you know, we're starting to see the intensity of the storm come down a bit in the latter half of the 7 o'clock hour, but still in just this view, in the last 15 minutes, we've still had over 100 lightning strikes. So this is still an intense part, and it was Kristen in Hunters Creek who said that they were getting slammed pretty good. So, you know, 192, World Drive, 1792, Kissimmee, yeah, it's coming. Thanks, Kyle, man, I appreciate that. I don't see any rotation at the lower levels to produce tornadic activity right now, Tornado Central. I mean, as we speak right now. This is all just a really, really solid cluster of storms. And by the way, you know, again, in Brevard County, you're seeing some of this feed in. It's a lot more scattered in nature and it's not as intense. But from time to time, you know, you could get some heavier rain and, you know, pushing back into Port St. John's and Sharps and Cocoa, and there's still more to come. This will probably thin out a bit through the 8 o'clock hour after sunset, but it's not going to be completely just, you know, snap your fingers and go away. And then again, there's a couple of rogue pieces to, you know, watch out for, but I'm not too concerned about those. Notice that even, you know, here's a good example I'm talking about. We're talking about this leading edge here, but this part of the storm is kind of held behind and it's not moving as much. And so the rain is kind of just sitting over south of Popka and Ocoee and Winter Garden and, you know, the Oakland areas here, the far western side of Orange County. And there's still some lightning being produced out of this, right? So, you know, it's not pulling away as quickly here. And what's kind of interesting is that you're actually getting a little bit of drier air to pull in like this, where it's kind of drying out south quicker than it is to the north. So it's kind of elongating itself in a really interesting fashion at this point in time. It's a very unusual structure. There's, again, some low-level wind convergences that are producing this right now. We have the old sea breeze, outflow boundaries, all that kind of comes together for, you know, to tell the story of what's happening at the hour. Go back over to Conway just to make sure that the wind hasn't picked up, but it's overcast, it's wet there. Winter Park, now we're starting to see at least the overcast skies. Heavier rain is likely to be moving in here in the next 10 to 15 minutes, but again, I don't expect it to be extremely prominent. Maybe you could use some of that rain. You get that far north. Disney area, the rain has virtually stopped. Still worried about some lightning in the area. You know, the reason why I showed you that Winter Garden shot is to simply tell you that, hey, look, even behind the prominent wind and rain, some of this lightning could linger a bit as well. And then back over to Winter Garden again, even a little bit of blue sky. I love it. Get this out of here pretty quickly. It wouldn't be a bad thing. All right. Don't do it again. So we haven't had the wind here pick up. With the Conway cam not showing any, I'm not going to expect it, right? So if we're going to see a wind, it's actually going to be either MCO or Kissimmee to see a wind that might freshen up a little bit more. But at this point in time, this is just a really solid cluster of storms. Not one criteria I'm overtly concerned about. I'm not concerned about damaging winds. I'm not concerned about damaging hail. I do believe that this is moving fast enough where most areas aren't going to have any flood problems. You know, that being said, ponding on roadways and some flooding of low-lying areas is not out of the question. I think the most intense part of this is going to be the lightning, right? As long as you're indoors, you're fine. And, you know, some gusts, but nothing outrageous. Just going to double check and make sure that we haven't had a rogue flood advisory issued. Excuse me, we haven't. Wouldn't expect it with a forward speed of probably 20 plus at the hour. So I'll put this into motion so you guys can see that. It's just over the last half hour. And again, you can really see on this shot that, you know, on the back edge of this, even back towards I-4, we still have a good amount of lightning, right? So don't let it fool you. But even Lake Buena Vista will get into the clear relatively quickly here. Picking up. Now you want to talk about an area where it's getting more intense. Southern side of Hunters Creek, Buenaventura Lakes, Kissimmee. That's the area. Now what's happened is that this cell has fed into this And when you get that, you typically get a ramp up because now you have converging winds. So you had this little cell out by itself hit the southern flank of this, and this is all going to fill in, and that's two different wind directions, and you typically do get, at least initially, a more intense part of the line right there, right on the southern flank. Is UCF playing tonight? Really? Appreciate you letting me know. I guess we are back into, I guess even, I know South Florida was playing tonight as well. They were playing Boise State. You know, I knew this was week one of college football, but you still have to, remind yourself that, we have Thursday games. Brett says the heavens finally opening up in Lockhart and Apopka. Yep. Again, it's a good, solid storm. No special weather statement, no severe thunderstorm warnings. So I'm not overtly concerned. Now the hail probability has gone up a little bit here, right over 192 Kissimmee. Still small hail, but again, right where these cells merged, where this cell got into the southern edge of this line, we are seeing a bit of a pop-up of some of the intensity here. So again, Kissimmee, Hunters Creek, Buenaventura Lakes. It's not going to last a heck of a long time, but that's a nasty part of the line, no doubt about it. Playing Jacksonville State. I would make fun of UCF playing Jacksonville State, except my Gators are playing Long Island this weekend, and I can't say a thing. I mean, we've played some teams that have been questionable over the years, but Long Island might take the cake. No offense to Long Island, but obviously a lot of these teams are getting paychecks. Listen, we could use a couple of easy W's. I'm not complaining. All right. Let's double check this one more time. Christian, if you're still there from Hunters Creek, let me know what's going on with you. And Therese, if you've seen anything worse, pop your way up at Kissimmee so far. Again, let me know as well. Thank you. Bring on these wind gusts, still just 25. Now, if we're going to get a 35 plus here at MCO, it's going to be happening as we speak, getting the leading gust front of this line of storms coming through. Again, lightning count is still high, but it's less than half of what it was. That's also good to see. And we're hitting sunset as we speak. All of those things coming together. You can even see the activity here, over I-95 towards US 1 kind of fade a bit, just a little bit. And where it's building, if there's a spot that it's building, it's on the southern flank here, right? This stuff is becoming a little bit more prominent at the hour and getting deeper into Polk and Osceola County. So Kissimmee and Campbell and Lothman down towards Davenport, St. Cloud, eventually even down 192 towards Harmony and Holopole if it keeps building south. Okay, thanks, Therese. Oh yeah, it's that time of the year in football season, right? Where we all have hopes, we all have dreams, and we all have question marks. We just never know, right? You think, oh, I've got a good, we got a good team this year, and nope, or yeah, we have no shot, and the next thing you know, you're playing. What I do enjoy though about the college football, now is that the 12-team playoff, right? So you can afford a couple of losses as a Power 5 team and still be okay. I mean, you could probably get in with 3 losses if they're the right 3 losses. So it's good to know that you're not having to bank on having a perfect season. Yeah, it's picking up the lightning about, again, when you guys see on my radar system these fuchsia colors and these kind of neon colors flashing, that is the highest reflectivity. There is a white at the end of the spectrum, but It just shows you very intense rainfall, a lot of lightning. And again, I can't rule out some tiny hail being produced with the most stout part of this entire line. But generally speaking, it's not a big hail producer. That's not, the threat. The threat was the winds a little bit earlier. So we'll go back over our cameras real quick. Beautiful shot in Winter Garden. If you live in the western side. Now look, this camera is south of the Turnpike and 50. So if you live like in downtown Winter Garden towards Lake Apopka, it is worse there, but we're looking off to the west towards Lake County, and that looks pretty good. Disney area, same situation. The worst has passed by. The lightning, I haven't seen any out of this, but we're still on the edge. Give it a couple more minutes to clear back out. There's the Winter Park camera, and again, you can just clearly see there's just a lot of turbulence in the low levels of the atmosphere. Now it's calming down a bit, but even as we head towards sunset, to kind of get that look to the clouds, how they're just not very, instead of just being very flat, there's a lot of striations at the bottom there. Just shows you the turbulence and the instability in the atmosphere. And then there's Conway, where it just looks so much darker because, again, we're looking off towards the east, so away from sunset tonight. But again, just kind of, if you look close enough, you can still see a little bit of rain, but the breeze, the wind never really hit that area, so that's good. There you go, Kyle. Now, when we're talking about OU, are we talking about the University of Oklahoma, or are we talking about somewhere else? What OU are we talking about? Because there's Ohio. Because, I don't know if you know, but I worked in Oklahoma for 7 years, and I do have some opinions on Oklahoma football. Oh, Rusty. Wow, man. I don't want to say it. I have a lot of friends in Oklahoma, but man, some of the Oklahoma Sooner fans are insufferable. Not you guys in particular. The thing that I questioned the most is I felt like sometimes Sooner fans loved more when Oklahoma State lost compared to even when they won, right? Like the little brother syndrome of Oklahoma State. That was the biggest thing. It's like they took more joy in Oklahoma State losing than they did winning. It's like, just enjoy your wins, And now Oklahoma is in the SEC, so I can't get away from them, I met my wife in Missouri. She, Mizzou Tiger. I was like, we're good, right? Never have to worry about any rivalries in sports. Like 2 years later than the SEC. I'm like, I just can't win. Oh, Mike Gundy is funny. I was there in Oklahoma with the I'm a man, I'm 40 speech. That was my first year there, 2007. If you guys haven't heard the Mike Gundy I'm a man, I'm 40 rant, that's an all-timer by a coach. I'm telling you, Kristen, it's true. Like, I just call it like I see it. I got so many friends who are Sooners, like who went to OU and who I met through television in Oklahoma. But it is an insufferable fan base, and I've told them that too. Again, I just, it's like the little brother thing with Oklahoma State, and, they'll never be as good of us, but it's just like, enjoy your wins. Yeah, I'm a man, I'm 40. That was something. And he's still there. All right, guys, we're hitting 8 o'clock. I wanted to make sure I stayed on through 8 o'clock because a couple different reasons. One, to make sure that we watch this storm through Orange County. Two, we're getting to sunset now. So, if these storms were going to pulse up and get back into special weather statement criteria, based on what I have been seeing, it would have happened by now. The good news is that this cluster of storms, the intensity has, continued to fall a bit. Now, there are still spots of heavier rain and lightning, but MCO's last report of wind here at 7:53 was just 17 miles an hour. So even some of the wind intensity is coming down. Now again, Buenaventura Lakes, Kissimmee area, these could still be some heavier areas of storms. It is beginning to spread in with the rain over Orlando in Baldwin Park and Fairview Shores, and right on the cusp of Winter Park and Maitland and Lockhart. But that's just some solid rain with a few embedded lightning strikes. It's not going to be severe. It's not probably even going to warrant a special weather statement. Again, spotty activity in Brevard County, right? Pockets of heavier downpours. Hopefully you get some if you need some. If you don't need any more, I hope you, avoid that. But that's what it's going to be, spotty. And I do expect this here to begin to break apart through the 8 o'clock hour. Now, it's holding together pretty well right now, but once we lose the heat of the day, it should start to fall apart. If there's an area that it's going to hold together better, it's going to be on the southern flank. A little bit more juice right now on the south side. So these areas, the intense rain and the lightning will hold on. But as it moves east, it does get into relatively rural areas fairly quickly, and that's good news. And hopefully between those rural areas of eastern Orange and northeast Osceola County, by the time they try and get back towards I-95, they're fading. Still can't rule out some of this holding together and getting back into Brevard County, but probably nothing as prominent as even what it is at this point in time. So friends, I think we're good. I feel pretty good about things. I don't think we're going to get back into a big issue here. I do, before we leave, if you guys want to hang on one second, we'll talk about it in tomorrow's show. But if you have outdoor plans for the coming Labor Day weekend and you're going to be here in Central Florida, I do invite you guys to tune in to the 1 o'clock show tomorrow. There is some very active weather coming. Right? You can see the beginnings of that moving into portions of the Southern Plains and the Mid-South and the Southeast in general. And we're going to have another stalled front that'll be situating itself over the Eastern Gulf, right across the peninsula and into the Western Atlantic. And it's going to feed in high rain chances, high storm chances. Now, it's not going to be a complete washout, but each and every day will be a little bit different. And I'm going to break that down for you guys tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock for CFLW The Show. Remember, if you can't watch it live, you can always watch the recorded version under the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel here. It becomes a recorded video. You can watch it at your leisure, but I always appreciate you guys tuning in live. You can ask me questions live, and we can go through things as well. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Again, thank you so much for taking a quick second, hitting that like button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. And please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Storm comes into your area, wind, hail, hurricane damage, even a burst pipe. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy review, so you really have nothing to lose. You want some more information, please check out leanonmelaw.com. Thank you so much to Gaming with Jamie for supporting the channel via the fan funding and the super stickers. Thank you for all those who have found that way as well. Super thanks, super stickers, super chat in the video description. Appreciate all those who do. For those who give via the description at the PayPal and Venmo, send you guys your personalized thank yous. So do appreciate all of that. Again, helping to support and reinvest into the channel. You guys have a great rest of your nights. Again, I think we're good outside of just some thunderstorm activity, but nothing too severe. See you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We got a lot to talk about for our holiday weekend. Until then, you all take care.